I thought the answer was more hours, more hustle. It turns out it was less. Hard work used to mean putting in way more effort, almost to the point of it feeling like punishment. Long, grueling hours of relentless work, just doing more and more. My work ethic was basically go hard or go home, but I never actually went home, even while I was there. Putting in more hours, thinking that it would lead to more results. It wasn't as much about the actual output, however, since I mostly measured it by effort or exhaustion. Eventually, I realized that all that extra work that I was putting in wasn't giving me more results. It was actually slowing me down. I may have been putting in more hours, but I wasn't accomplishing more work. The harder I worked, the less it returned. Effort doesn't scale linearly. You might double your effort, but only get 10% more output. I felt anxious, overthinking about whether it was worth it, whether the work I was putting in was actually doing anything. But then, something changed, and I started questioning why I was doing things this way. I was realizing that I wasn't getting the results I was expecting, but instead losing the energy that I had. It wasn't massive, but when you realize that you haven't done something fun after work for a couple of weeks, you notice there was no separation anymore. I was either asleep or I was working. I really was becoming someone I didn't recognize, just to meet a standard that I had made up in my head. Some made up image of how hard work was supposed to look. So one day, I decided that enough is enough. I'd noticed that I hadn't even touched one of my favorite hobbies, 3D printing, for over a month. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't have the energy for it. And that's when I knew that I had to do something about it. I had to take my energy back from work. So I started by taking a break. I wouldn't be doing everything. I wouldn't put work ahead of myself. I started to shift my focus from doing everything to doing what actually mattered. I had to filter through all of my tasks, find which ones were most important, and start saying no to everything else. That was the moment when things finally started to shift. It was slow at first, but I saw glimpses of what was ahead. I had more energy after work. I didn't need 10 hours of sleep just to feel human again. I felt the mental fog lift. My thoughts became clearer. But the biggest shift? My work was actually improving. The hours I put in now weren't just matched, but the results exceeded them. It seemed like all that extra work I'd been doing it wasn't really paying off. But now, instead of looking at all the hours I put in, I looked at whether I was doing what actually matters. But it wasn't just a shift in how I looked at my work, but how I looked at myself as well. Because now I knew that I was capable of doing more with less. The mindset that replaced the grind set, it was simple. Less is more. Sometimes quality does beat quantity, even if quantity helps at times. By now, I define progress by whether the action I'm doing actually has a meaningful impact. A question that gave me a ton of inspiration was, will it make the boat go faster? If you have a boat with an entire crew, but none of them are focusing on fueling the engine, will it make the boat go faster? So if you want to get more done, focus on doing what actually matters and do it well. What's the one action that would actually move you forward? What would make your boat go faster? It's not about doing less, but it's about doing the right thing. If this helped shift your mindset, subscribe and let's grow together.